CWG.com. We've got a midweek transition with a cold front coming through Tuesday afternoon and evening. This ushers us from muggy and steamy heat to a more dry warmth by the end of the week. It's arguable whether we call it fall-like by the end of the week, but dew points going back down into the 50s will bring us back into dry and pleasant categories for how we should feel. With our skin being able to breathe a little better, air being a little fresher, I think you're going to like some of the mid to upper 80s and sunshine by the end of the week, thanks to lower dew points and getting that humidity out of there. Hey, Maria, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'm Cameron Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com, and we've got heat to talk about first for these heat index values. The combination of air temperature with humidity tomorrow could see some mid to upper 90s. I guess a couple spots around 100 heat index can't be ruled out on Monday and Tuesday. Here's Tuesday, and you can see down near Richmond, that's where there's a higher probability of seeing 100-degree heat index values. Again, the combination of air temperature with humidity. But look at that dark, cooler heat index level to our west along the I-81 corridor on Tuesday. That is a cold front bringing some clouds, rain, showers, and storms. It is approaching here, this map, on Tuesday, and the green indicating rain chances and thunderstorm chances. So far on Tuesday, not a widespread widespread threat of severe storms, but we need to watch if a complex of storms does move toward us. It's worth keeping an eye on things. So far, nothing too heavy is looking like on the weather models. It's not reflected in the data just yet in an agreement among the weather models, but again, a complex with heavy downpours. We could see some patchy flooding and a couple damaging wind gusts, but worth staying tuned and weather aware as we get closer to Tuesday afternoon and evening. We will keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Rain amounts not looking too feisty. If all the front and the rain have their forward motion like we expect them to, we might only get a quarter to a half inch of rain in some spots around the DC area. But again, flooding downpours can't be ruled out with the availability of moisture in the atmosphere running pretty high when we get to Tuesday afternoon and evening as that cold front moves through. Here it is, earlier and earlier sunset. I'm Cameron Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. 7:44 p.m. Was when I tried to first start broadcasting tonight. But point is, we've lost 10 minutes of sunset since last week, and we expect more of the same in the coming weeks. You'll talk to me earlier and earlier, doing these weekly Sunday sunset chats with you on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. Please follow us on all three of those social media channels. Scott, is it ever going to rain again? Lawn is brown. Yes, it should rain on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Lisa, hello. Aaron, good evening. Mike, keep me posted on audio. And David, heavy rain is possible Tuesday afternoon and evening. Some downpours possible, maybe some flooding downpours possible. We'll keep you posted. And Jim, thanks for that heads up. That audio was good for you and Scott. And good evening, Tori and Penny. And doing well. Thank you so much. And the weather will get more comfortable, 70s, Lisa. I'm going to need to get into maybe mid-September. We'll look into the future in a moment. And hello, Atlantic hurricane season is getting going, Tom. Let's get to that right now. So here are the tropics. We've got 4 possible disturbances. One there in the central Atlantic in the red with that red X that is expected with high probability to develop over the next 5 days. That would likely bring, as it appears now, our D storm, our 4th storm of the season. 4th named storm is Danielle. The next one after that is Earl. So we'll see if the other 3, which so far low probability indicated there in the yellow shading, if those other 3 lower probability developing systems, those investigations they might perform later this week, the National Hurricane Center. It remains to be seen how much activity we can wring out this week out of the tropical Atlantic. But then looking into the future next week as well, next work week as we get into September, it is expected to stay active in the central Atlantic between the Cape Verde Islands, Cabo Verde Islands, and the Lesser Antilles. So the same region where you see red indicated with this disturbance right now, that could be more of the same next week as well. So remember, climatological peak of the season is September 10th, typically, most years for the Atlantic hurricane, tropical and Atlantic hurricane activity. So we are getting there and things are revving up, Tom. So I hope that helps answer your questions. All right. We've got Mike. Thank you. You're reporting it's hot in the valley. Appreciate that feedback as well. No weather delay on paving. What a schedule fiasco. I'm sorry, Tori. And hello in Paducah, Kentucky, Marion. Excellent. And David, Hurricane peak is coming. September 10th is the typical peak of hurricane activity in the tropical Atlantic, and it is getting going, as these maps indicate, for disturbances, one of which has a high likelihood of development in the next 5 days. Hey Omar, you rock as well. Thanks for those kind words. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, parched lawns in the area. You are likely in the last 7 days. This is precipitation as a percent of normal. You are probably complaining of your crops and your gardens if you are in the reds and oranges. That's when you've had below half of what you normally expect in the last 7 days. If you are in the blues or darker purples and pinks, you've had double what you would normally expect in the last 7 days. So you don't need to water your lawns or crops at this time. Most likely your grass is doing fine. You may have even, frankly, seen some flooding in some of these darker blues and purples and magentas in the past week. But this reflects the hit or miss nature of thunderstorms this time of year in the peak of our warm season, the dog days of August. We do have our primary rain source, for better or worse, being these hit or miss thunderstorms. So you're going to see hit or miss rain amounts. Your neighbor down the road might be having a completely different garden or crop situation than you are. One county over can also make a big difference as well. So you're not imagining it. If you're in the oranges and reds, you have needed to water this week. If you're in the purples or darker blues, you have had a pretty good week, maybe not watering quite as much. The drought situation doing A-OK in the mid-Atlantic. This is kind of reflecting longer term hydrological and agricultural issues. So far, we're doing pretty awesome on much of the East Coast, outside of coastal and southern New England. Texas, of course, and California could use some rain, but much of the United States, east of the Mississippi River, doing all right at this time. So it could continue in the mid-Atlantic for looking at precipitation next work week, not leaning either way, drier than normal or wetter than normal, but if we kind of have arguably equal chances of seeing a little bit of rain next week and not a dry signal, I think most of us will be okay, especially given that the drought situation non-existent in the mid-Atlantic. So let's pivot to temperatures on as a sneak preview of this weekend. Looks like the dew points should behave a little bit better than they are now. Maybe dew points back in the 60s for Saturday. A shower or sprinkle can't be ruled out, but we'll keep you posted on that. 80s likely the temperature regime for Saturday. And then looking at next work week, we could be kind of tipping the scales above average again for temperatures. And what is average for next work week? Well, that's kind of mid 80s, getting down toward 83 degrees for average high temperature in DC, 63 for low temperature, DC airport. So temperatures might be adding a little bit more to our heat tracker as we get into next work week. We've already had 34 days as of today, 34, 90 degrees or hotter number of days this year. And there's a good summary. We had it on Capital Weather Gang on our Twitter feed. Make sure you follow us at CWG.news/Twitter or at Capital Weather on Twitter. We give you these great takes on how we're tracking. We're making up for lost time and getting closer to average for this time of year. So it has gotten warm here in August. We've really tacked on some of our 90 degree or hotter days here at the end of August. All right, so let's recap how it looks this week. A transition comes by Tuesday afternoon to evening. Cold front comes through. Gusty downpours are possible. We'll keep you posted on any severe storm threats as we get closer. The latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. Hello in Portland, Maine. Gary, thanks for tuning in. Summer seemed like it flew by, David. It can in some regards. I don't know. I'm sick of the heat, though. Personally. Next weekend is Labor Day, David. Yes, indeed. So you will hear from me on Monday evening for our weekly chat. That is a good reminder. So a holiday edition of our weekly chats will occur on Monday night on Labor Day. Kenny wants more water. As always, Kenny, good seeing you. Marianne, Kentucky needs rain. I bet so. There were some flooding problems there last month, but depending on where you are, let's look at the drought situation in Kentucky. Let me see if I can pull that up for the Kentucky area. So parts of the far, western area of Kentucky, that is where we do have a little bit of drought. But central and eastern Kentucky doing A-OK on the drought situation. And zooming in on the mid-Atlantic, your gardens are parched in the orange and red, where you've had half or worse of your normal precipitation over the last 7 days. And much more than 200% of your average precipitation last 7 days if you're in the dark blues or purples. So keep that in mind. All right, I want to let you know dew points will be dropping into comfortable range. Maybe Wednesday afternoon through Friday afternoon, we could see for about 48 hours, a little bit more, some comfortable air. So keep that in mind. It'll be a drier heat by the end of the week. Let's see. We've got Aaron. You can't wait for a storm so you can get the seasons changing and maybe watering your garden, you're indicating. And yes, indeed, sick of the heat, Aaron. And Western Kentucky, Marianne, indeed could use some rain. Hi in Vienna, Virginia. Anna, thanks so much for tuning in. All right, let me know if you have any questions or comments on the forecast up ahead this week. It's a transition week from muggy, steamy, hot for the early part of the week. Cold front comes through Tuesday afternoon and evening, producing showers and storms we want to keep an eye on. Some could be strong with maybe a flooding downpour or two, maybe some damaging wind gusts or two remains to be seen. But very hot on Tuesday. That's our hottest day of the week. And heat index values could be approaching mid to upper 90s tomorrow and perhaps near 100 on Tuesday. But see the front indicated there on that darker coloring? That's coming toward us on Tuesday as we see it approaching from the Ohio River Valley from our west, moving toward us in the east. In the mid-Atlantic, so that should keep heat index values down, especially along I-81 earlier in the afternoon as thunderstorms get going there. By mid to late afternoon into the evening hours, we could see around the I-95 corridor some thunderstorms develop, and we need to. So far, we think everyday storms are probable on Tuesday. The Storm Prediction Center not flagging our region for severe storms, but we can't rule out some strong severe storms as this cold front punches into our hot, humid, unstable air mass. And it's bringing drier air behind it, and that often can lead to some strong severe storms. So we will keep you posted. This is the American model, the American weather model, indicating some broken nature to the rain shield with the cold front on Tuesday evening. This could bode well that we don't see an organized complex of severe storms, but it's worth watching and staying weather aware as we get closer to Tuesday afternoon and evening. We'll keep you posted, of course, at capitalweathergang.com. Rain amounts so far, other than a lucky spot or two, seeing a downpour average-wise in the next 72 hours through Wednesday morning, since the cold front and its range should move out Tuesday night. Quarter inch, maybe half inch of rain in much of the region. But if you do see a quick flooding downpour, an inch of rain can't be ruled out on Tuesday afternoon and evening. So it remains to be seen how those develop on if we get a complex of storms on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Thank you for joining me. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Earlier and earlier sunsets. We lost 10 minutes since I last talked to you last Sunday. Last Sunday it was 7:54. This week is 7:44 p.m. I'm on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you'll talk to me even earlier in 8 days on Labor Day for a holiday Monday edition of our weekly chats. So we'll be live in 8 days on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Please follow us on all of our social media channels there. And anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Let's pivot really quick to a weekend preview. Labor Day weekend. Can you believe it's here? 80s start off our weekend on Saturday. Could be a little bit muggy, but should be sprinkle shower, should be few and far between, so it should be relatively okay. Salvageable Saturday for sure. And Gary, thanks for tuning in. Mary could use some rain, and indeed, you want to talk about tropics in the Atlantic, maybe giving us some rain in not only the mid-Atlantic, but up to southern New England. Let's check in with that. Here it is, the Atlantic Hurricane Basin getting active kind of on cue as we head toward September 10th, which is the peak of hurricane season on average in the tropical Atlantic. Look at that red X in the central Atlantic. That has the highest probability of developing over the next 5 days. 3 other disturbances in the yellow have less of a chance of developing, but still worth watching. The National Hurricane Center, of course, identifying everything it sees could develop as we head toward the climatological peak of the hurricane season. And what would our next named storm be? Danielle. That would be our 4th storm. If one of these other 3 lesser probability storms turns into a tropical storm, we have Earl as our next storm there on the first column. And it remains to be seen. We could use some rain. Indeed, Gary from Maine talking about coastal and southern parts of New England in drought. Fine in the mid-Atlantic, but we could use maybe a tropical system without too much wind and too terrible of a rain situation to give us some relief in southern and coastal New England. So that is something to keep in mind. As we maybe head into the last 7 days, we could maybe use in southeastern parts of Virginia a tropical system, a really quick tropical system to give us some relief in the rain departments for garden watering and crop watering. So if you're in the oranges and reds, you've seen a dry last 7 days, less than half of your rain that you normally see in the last 7 days. Blues and purples, double or more of what you normally see in the last 7 days. So even some flooding, patchy flooding in the purples and pinks over parts of the region. Very hit or miss this time of year because Hit or miss storms are the primary way we see rain this time of year. For better or worse, it's warm season. So your neighbor one county away might have a completely different garden, grass, or crop situation than you several miles down the road. Gary saying, good, I'm glad you like that idea. And let it snow, says Charlene. I love that. Getting ready for winter. Hello, Taja. Thanks for tuning in from YouTube. And Rachel, indeed, the American model is what I was using from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration from NOAA. So let's show you how that looks for Tuesday into Wednesday. The cold front coming through from the Ohio River Valley, moving from west to east toward us. Broken rains, but you can see some heavier thunderstorm activity there within the rain shield of the cold front. It remains to be seen if we see a complex of strong to severe storms on Tuesday afternoon and evening, and even into the overnight hours. We'll keep you posted. Only a slight chance of strong to severe storms as it stands now, but cannot rule out a flooding downpour or two and a damaging wind gust or two in the region. So just stay weather aware with us as we get toward Tuesday afternoon and evening at capitalweathergang.com. And of course, follow us on Twitter at capitalweather and on CWG.news. That's Twitter. It'll take you there as well. YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you're following us there as well. All right. Good way to finish the weekend. Looking at next weekend. Indeed, David, Labor Day weekend is coming. Adandra, thanks for tuning in. I've missed you as well. And Janet, next Monday, I think will be about 12 minutes earlier. So right near 7:32 or so for our weekly chat, which will be a holiday edition, holiday Monday edition live chat on Labor Day night. So good question, Janet, excuse me. And Teresa, a little rain would be nice. And Gary, you're most welcome. And love a good thunderstorm, David, me as well, as long as it's not too strong or severe and life or limb or property is not threatened. And Wednesday, Rachel, should be good for flights and visitation into the DC area. Love that. And Stephanie, if you need to go out to the vineyards in the DMV area, try and wait till Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Indeed, some of the wineries I see, they could use some of the rain. And let's check that really quick. I'm very curious. Over the last 7 days, as a percent of normal, indeed, Loudoun County and Fauquier County could use. I see that orange and darker red. They've had less than half, even less than 25% of the normal rain in the last 7 days. So oranges and reds, you've definitely had to water in the last 7 days. Pinks, you've had maybe some patchy flooding with well over 4 times what you normally see in the last 7 days. So it has been very hit or miss, a patchwork of rain in our region, as is usually the case in the warm season where thunderstorms that are hit or miss are the primary rain source. Active hurricane season is starting to ramp up in the tropical Atlantic. That red indicator X in the central Atlantic, that's where we could see more activity developing over the next 10, 14 days, so we need to keep an eye on things. This specific disturbance has a greater than 60% chance of developing in the next 5 days, and that could prove to be our 4th named storm of the season, D, Danielle. And then E, our E storm would be Earl. If maybe one of those other 3 with lower chance of develop this week in the next 5 days, we could see Earl develop as well. But we'll have a tropical update for you on capitalweathergang.com. I believe tomorrow Jason is planning to have that out, so make sure you stay tuned to us on the blog. All right. Yep, Torrey, earlier sunsets this time of year are getting, we subtracted 10 minutes from last Sunday. It's getting earlier and earlier indeed. Very noticeable pace of evening light deterioration. Let's see, we've got Aaron, could use all the rain, and next weekend weather for Scott has a good question, and tomorrow is gross, yes indeed, Amy. So let's go for tomorrow into next weekend really quick. Here it is. We've got dew points into upper 60s, low 70s through Tuesday night. It is going to be sticky and unpleasant, but we do by Wednesday night into Friday afternoon, we could see dew points in the 60s, so that's much more comfortable on our emoji scale up there. It'll be more of a dry heat at the end of the week. So early week starts muggy, steamy, gross, hot. Heat index values I'll go into in a minute, maybe near 100 degrees. Our latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. But we do transition Tuesday nights with a cold front coming through. Strong to severe storms can't completely be ruled out, so please stay weather aware. Check in with us later tomorrow. As we get closer to Tuesday, we should have a better fix on if the everyday thunderstorms with our cold front turn into strong to severe storms. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sunny, much more beautiful. It's going to take a little bit of time to get lower dew points, less humidity in here by Wednesday afternoon, hopefully. But I think you'll notice the difference. It'll be more of a comfortable August warmth situation as we get into the final days of meteorological summer as August ends. So that is some good news. And then we've got heat index values. I just want to flag mid 90s, maybe near 100 degrees tomorrow. And then much of the same one last day on Tuesday, our final hot, steamy day. Heat index values, especially down near Richmond, where you can see those in the darker areas over the mountains of West Virginia and I-81 corridor. That's where shower storms and clouds are keeping down the heat index values by early afternoon on Tuesday as the cold front approaches. But along I-95, enough sun and heat and humidity probably getting us near 100 degrees for several spots on the I-95 corridor for heat index values on Tuesday afternoon. So remember, heat index is the combination of air temperature with humidity. All right, so we had a quick question about weekend weather. Can't rule out a shower or storm, Scott, for Saturday, but weekend looks like it should behave overall, with rain chances staying low if you have outdoor plans. 80s may be the predominant regime of temperatures here on Saturday and for much of the weekend. Stay tuned as we get closer. It is warm. The atmosphere is tipping probabilistically a decent chance of above average temperatures for next work week as well. And remember, averages are getting lower on the scale as well. So mid 80s to near 90. Possible we add more to our heat tracker. We're already approaching average for this time of year. We kind of made up for lost time, so keep that in mind. Indeed, William, a typical late August. Julia, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. And like Las Vegas, a dry heat by the end of the week. Rachel says, yuck, yes, indeed. You have a safe week as well, Gary. And Adandra, you were saying, come on, fall. I love that. And Tori, well, we got pumpkin emojis already. So let me leave you now with the forecast at a glance. And remember to follow us on capitalweathergang.com and our latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. Tuesday's front marks our transition from hot, steamy weather to more comfortable warmth by the end of the week. But stay tuned to capitalweathergang.com as we get closer to this cold front passing through Tuesday afternoon and evening. Could set off some strong storms. So worth staying a little weather aware as we get closer. Have a great week. I'm Cameron Walker signing off, and I'll talk to you next Monday, Labor Day, for our Holiday Monday edition of our weekly chat then. Bye.